Well, we are here once again, just like we were last week. If nobody saw that last week, you should go back because you guys were fabulous. And we are continuing with the Gospel of Luke, the 6th chapter, with some of our high schoolers. Help us interpret that. First, let's have you introduce yourselves.
I'm Derek.
I'm Connor.
I'm Sierra.
I'm Gavin.
And I am still Dave, as always. And we are going to hear from the Gospel of Luke, the 6th chapter.
Gospel of Luke, the 6th chapter. Jesus said, "But I say to you that listen, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who begs from you, and if anyone takes away your goods, do not ask for them again. Do to others as you would have them do to you.
If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. If you lend to those from whom you hope to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners, to receive as much again. But love your enemies, do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. Your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High, for He is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful.
Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For the measure you give will be the measure you get back.
All righty, we've heard it. What do you hear in here that is interesting?
Well, I think throughout the Bible, and especially here, God talks about what we do as relationships, and that often we assign good or bad qualities to things in life, but that's not necessarily true. Like, I have a tattoo, well, that's considered bad, but what is it being used for? And especially with relationships with God, I feel like that becomes more important as we react and relate with each other.
I have something that I thought in here was a pretty deep idea, but in the second section, it's like, if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. I just thought it was really deep, like you were just talking about. Like, loving people is a good idea, but what credit is that to me? Because everyone does that in some way. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was a pretty deep idea.
Love is something that comes from you, right? And comes from God. And it's not necessarily circumstantial or conditional. In other words, if Connor treats me bad, I'm supposed to treat him bad. Well, then we've created more badness in the world, right? But if Connor treats me bad, but I am still honorable and care about Connor, then there's something more than just badness in the world, right? And then you redefine that badness into actually opportunity for goodness, like Derek said. That's awesome. What else?
I also think it's really interesting, and like a lot of people treat relationships and like giving as like a transaction. So, oh yeah, if I give you love, I'm expecting love in return. And this is saying, no, that's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to give love just for the sake of it, to love each other.
And I think this is doubly important because in high school, people are like, well, I love this person, why don't they love me back? And that love is something you give, but if someone doesn't want it, that's your job. And you're treating it like, I gave you X amount of love, you give me X amount of whatever back. And that's not how relationships are built. And sometimes there's just not room for a relationship. And that love is for you to keep to yourself.
Or to share freely and just let it go. Mm-hmm. I mean, look, we all get different kinds of relationships. We all get accepted and rejected based on a million things. Job interviews, romantic relationships, everything, right? Mm-hmm. But what happens to us is not necessarily our entire life or destiny. In other words, you've got something that no one can take away from you. They can reject you from a million job interviews, and you still have the capability to love, to bring goodness into the world. Nothing can take that from you. You can ask a million people out and get rejected. You still have something that's important, okay? And that's what's being tapped here, right? Like that you have love given to you by God to share. It's okay to give that away freely without expecting that you have to get something back in order for it to get paid off.
Yeah, I think love isn't like an amount or something we can put a value to because it's unconditional. So God's love to us, our love to God, it's not a certain like amount. Like we love him so much. Like we only have so much love to give. It's unlimited, and so just love everybody. Even like it says, love your enemy. Even though they're your enemy, still love them because everyone deserves to be loved.
And I feel like with that, if you're trying to put a quantity to love, it's not truly you loving them. It's, oh yeah, I'll give you this because that's what I have. It's not truly, oh yeah, I really give this love to you.
And I was thinking, going along with loving and just generally relationships, that do not judge and you will not be judged. As people, we like to put other people in boxes and say, oh, you do not meet this standard. And that's especially true in romantic relationships, in jobs, etc. And that God is telling us we are not the arbiters of what is good, evil, right, wrong. Our job is to try to do our best and expect the same from others.
Yeah, to bring goodness into the world, no matter what, right? And yeah, it's rich people, I mean, people think having wealth is freedom, right? But rich people basically operate on this principle. I have a swimming pool full of money, and whatever money I take out of that and get out, I need to get back into that swimming pool or it will be empty, right? And the bigger your swimming pool is, the more aware of it you are. Well, that's not really love, right? That's kind of prison. I can't give out $10,000 without getting at least that or more back, or I'm going to lose my identity. But what if Sierra's operating thesis is correct? What if that swimming pool is infinite? What if there's no pool? What if it's just life? What if it's just a world? How many times can you dip a bucket into infinity and pour it out? Infinite times, because infinity is still infinity, right? There you're free. You are now free. You don't have to worry about what comes back. You don't have to worry about your identity. All you have to worry about is you've got something to give that's amazing. I almost swore there, sorry. That's really amazing, and it's cool. It's such a different way to live, right? And you'll find it's a different way to love and have relationships too. You will know the difference in a relationship between someone who's measuring the swimming pool with you and someone who's really giving to you.
I love that analogy. I would have never thought of this that way. Something that I'd like to add to that is towards the end, it's talking about for the measure you give will be the measure you get back. Sort of the same thing we were talking about with that relationships, but I was going to add my own point. For the measure that you give, you will get back, but you might not get that immediately back, right? You were talking about how we might give love to someone in a relationship, and you might not get it back from them, but you might get it back from someone else at a different point in time. And I think that's something we don't think about in the moment.
It's actually kind of brilliant because what's our job? Our job is not to get that love back, it's to learn how to love, right? And even in loving, okay, this is true in romantic relationships, but also when you lose someone, like when someone dies, okay? Like it's a grief that doesn't go away and you're really sad and you feel like nothing's going to fill that emptiness. It's kind of the same with a heartbreak too. If a relationship doesn't work or you get rejected, you feel like nothing's going to fill that emptiness. And that may be true, but at least you know that space is there. You know that space is capable of operating. That's how much love you have. And really, again, following Sierra's point, you have that and infinity more. So you don't have to worry so much about whether that space is full or empty right now. Sometimes it's going to be empty and hurt, right? But the capacity to love is just that big and even more.
And a lot of times with our relationships, we look very surface level. Like we do assign qualities, good or bad. That person is annoying. That person said something rude to me. We never really look deeper until we're in a relationship. Oh, you said that because you were tired. You did X, Y because of your family situation. You have to be in a relationship where you start open and loving and caring to ever see any of that. And if you just assign the world qualities, you're not really in a relationship. You are being yourself and judging others.
What you just said is how it should be.
Every person has holes in them, right? We all do. We all know where those holes are in ourselves, where we've been hurt or scarred or whatever, which means every relationship has holes in it too, because a relationship is just two people or more added together, which you add the empty spots too, right? So if you're going to judge by those empty spots, it's kind of difficult, right? You're always going to find them and you're always going to be defined by them. But if you judge by how much can be filled, how much capacity for love there is, now all of a sudden, not just romantic relationships or not just bestie friendships or whatever, but every relationship has potential for life and renewal and filling. And it's not despite the holes, and sometimes it's because of them, right? And you go, oh my gosh, I cannot tell you the number of times I've known people, for instance, one of the things I do is write music. I'll tell on myself sometimes. And I've known people who have gone through a lot of stuff that nothing is going to fix. But you know what? I've written songs based on that. They've opened up creativity in me where I go, oh my gosh. And then I feel it's not me. Something comes from outside of me and I write this song and then this song is out there and they hear it and they're like bawling their eyes out, right? And I'm going like something else happened here that was more than just the emptiness. And it doesn't matter if it's never fixed. That something else absolutely brings us life. Yeah.
And with those holes, if you see them instead of as a problem, like, oh yeah, because you have these qualities or these holes in your life, you can't talk to me or you can't be with me. Instead of looking at it like that, if you look at, oh yeah, you have these holes, let me help you fill them, and giving your love to them to help them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a great place. Wisdom from Connor is a good place to end. Thank you so much for being with us. We will do this again before not too long because you know what? You guys have a lot of wisdom and a lot of love and insight to share. Thank you so much for doing this. We are really grateful, and we'll see you all again soon.